Good morning. It is a beautiful summer morning. It's the 2nd of September. Got our cats here hanging around. So today's a harvest morning. The cats definitely like the cool mornings when it's harvest morning. Follow us around, try to attack anything that's moving, which is usually us. But anyways, I just wanted to show this section here because we're harvesting a lot from this section now, and just want to kind of talk about just multiple plantings in one area, just the kind of production, high production you can get. So this was all potatoes. I've explained that in other videos. Our monthly garden updates, I think, is mostly where I've shown or talked about what was here before. So we had potatoes here, and they were pulled, let's see, probably the middle of July. That sounds about right. Maybe a little bit before that. I'm trying to think when the zucchinis and cucumbers were probably the first transplanted in here. And those, yeah, I think about the middle of July, the potatoes were all pulled. I think we actually did it in stages. We pulled our gold potatoes where our zucchinis and cucumbers went. We gave some of the other varieties a little bit more time to size up. But yeah, right now we're only a month and a half later. And this morning I can show you what we were harvesting. We got head lettuce, which will be for the coming weeks. That stuff's, we're not too quite yet, but it's cooled down, which is good. That stuff will be able to stay in the ground longer. So we had salad greens that we harvested, and we had issues with some of our salad greens germinating. So that's why we're short right now. We have little sections, but not enough to like have an abundance right now. So this is stuff that we're gonna get to. This is a red leaf, and then we have a green leaf up here. This is called Sierra that I harvested this morning for our shares. You see this stuff's a little bit bigger, really nice heads. And then behind here we have cabbage and broccoli. This is a nice big cabbage called Bobcat. We like that for making sauerkraut. It's also a pretty good storage one. Here we have broccoli. I think that's Imperial variety. And then I have some sprouting broccoli that I'm trying this year. The problem with broccoli that's hard, you know, we have it occasionally, but we don't have it all the time, and it's very finicky with the weather as far as being nice. You get either flea beetle damage, you can get fungus that attacks the heads, and it's just to have a crop in the ground for 2-3 months, and then all of a sudden when you go to harvest it, it's not very nice and not marketable. So we try to keep plantings going, but I think we've had 4 plantings, and we've only been able to sell from about 2 of them because the other ones just, when it gets hot out and conditions aren't nice, they just don't do well. But the sprouting broccoli is an option that it puts on little heads just continually to where you can harvest them at a young stage and bunch them or cord them up. And when you have one big head, if it goes bad, well, that whole plant has kind of put all that time and energy into a head that isn't really usable for us. So that's the trial we're doing right now. So you can see a month and a half what stuff looks like. It's really lush and vibrant. And most gardens, a lot of times, if you just do one planting right now, like in May or June, by this time the plants are tired, they're starting to brown out, look nice. The photosynthesizing that's happening in your garden is dramatically declining. Come on, Shag. That's the one downside. The kittens in a garden is walking on the row covers, but they also serve an important purpose in keeping mice and moles and rabbits, even when they get older, keeping them out of the garden. So we wanted to get used to the area, but to know the boundaries. But anyways, so yeah, most gardens this time of year are pretty much done and looking, I don't want to say dead, but not much vibrancy and life and sequestering of carbon going on. But if you can get a second planting in, you can see how crops just at a young stage this time of year just still have a lot of health and vigor that is not only good for production and producing food, but it's really good for the soil. So having these plants and the roots in the soil holds the soil there in hard rains, and the roots feed the soil biology that we want to keep vibrant and healthy, not only going into the winter, but some of the stuff over winters, like the carrots, will give them habitat to kind of incubate the soil for next year when the soil gets going and we start planting plants. So yeah, you see some stuff. So we have pickling cukes there that are pretty much done. Second planting of pickling cukes just never do really good. We get a few pickling cukes that make it enticing to try it every year, but it's one of those where I think we may have to just do a planting, or our second planting, make sure we do it earlier. Because yeah, later in the season, unless we find a variety that we really like, it just doesn't do good. And then here we have our regular cucumbers, which there's two varieties here. You can tell the difference here. These are still some greening, but they're starting to die off and brown. And up here, it's called Summer Dance. I assume it's called Summer Dance because it does really well in summer conditions. And so this we're getting about every 2 days. Now it's cooled down, I didn't get as many this morning, but we're getting 60 to 70 cucumbers in this area. There's a little gap, and this plant's probably every 2 days when it was hot. So, and it was like that for probably 2 to 3 weeks. So yeah, these very highly productive. The variety is Summer Dance, so I won't keep that secret. But we get ours from Osborne Seed Company. So the seed is a little more expensive, and it's actually I think a good cucumber for the hoop houses, but we just grow ours in the field. We don't spend the time trellising ours. The fruits aren't as long and nice and straight. They might have a little bit of a curve to them, but for us, it doesn't bother us. So here we have green beans again, which is our third to last planting. We have 2 plantings after this for the year. And this is, I finished off harvesting head lettuce there. And down here, there might be a few heads that'll just be for us. But then we have green onions here, and a little bit of salad greens. So yeah, that's what this section looks like. So some of the beds already, after a month and a half, we're already clearing out beds. And we could actually get a third planting in. So I just planted some radishes and spinach in a bed on the other side of that hoop house. But we have 3 beds there that I'm gonna do our fall plantings of radishes, spinach, turnips, things like that. So I don't think I'll need this, but really you could, after the second planting, some of these beds, you could come through and get a third planting. So it's quite amazing what you can do. It takes planning and kind of knowing when things are maturing. It just takes observation and a lot of recording too. I keep a chart of planting dates and when I expect to harvest, and then when I know about when I'm going to harvest, I'll plot that out then with what I think I'm going to need to put in the garden at that time. And so it's never perfect. There's always every season I can plan as best as I can, but there's always hiccups and there's always unforeseen things that happen in the garden that allow our planting to be changed up a little bit. But it's good to have a plan, not only for keeping yourself supplied with food, but for keeping the soil occupied with plants and roots and vibrant, healthy, photosynthesizing organisms to feed the soil life. So thanks for watching. Till next time, eat well, live well.